Welcome to the webinar. Today's webinar is part of a webinar series designed to showcase the work that UPLAN members are doing locally to improve access to childcare, early care, and education. In this webinar series, we will hear how UPLAN member organizations have implemented parent-led state and local advocacy campaigns. We're grateful to hear about their organizing strategies, successes, and lessons learned. For today's webinar, we are excited to welcome the Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, OPAN, for their presentation called Against the Odds, Ohio Parents Making Themselves Heard. Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, originally the Ohio Head Start Parent Ambassadors, began in 2014 and continues to run a year-long parent training cohort, providing the opportunity to learn about advocacy, the history of Head Start, early childhood education, and the federal and state budget process. They've added leadership training along the way, including Myers-Briggs, the Herman Brain Dominance Instrument Assessment, professionalism, and project management. Recently, they've added a justice, equality, and belonging training to the alumni track. But most importantly, parents are prepared to be leaders for the rest of their lives.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to again make an announcement because we've had so many people join us in the past minute while Dejan was introducing OPAN. This webinar is in English and Spanish. And for interpretation to work, make sure that you choose your language. So, otra vez quería mencionar que este programa va a ser en inglés y en español. Entonces, para que funcione la interpretación, todos tenemos que escoger, seleccionar el idioma en que vamos a escuchar el webinar. Muchas gracias. Thank you. I'll pass it to OPAN.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I just want to make a quick announcement that during our presentation, if you have any questions, please add it to the chat, or you can add it to the Q&A box, and then we'll answer any questions at the end. So thank you for being here. My name is Amanda Yancey, and I work for the Ohio Head Start Association, and I run the OPAN program, and I also am the operations director here, and I also run some advocacy here, as well as I do events here. So I will be sharing my screen, and we will start the presentation. And can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, here we go. So Against the Odds, Ohio Parents Making Ourselves Heard, presented by Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, and we're part of the Ohio Head Start Association. And here's our agenda. We'll start with looking at our approach. I'd like to paint you a picture of what it's like to be in a conservative state. Looking at some of our ways that we look at what our parents do, keep talking, how parents lead, and some of our partnerships. And just a small quote from Martin Luther King III. It's time for political leaders across the ideological spectrum to realize that while partisanship is understandable, hyperpartisanship is destructive to our country. We need more visionary leaders who will earnestly strive for bipartisanship and finding policy solutions that can move America forward. And this is our approach. look at it in a holistic way. And in this slide, we put the family first, and we kind of wrap everything around the family. And what does a holistic approach mean? It means for Ohio, keeping the parent and child at the center of everything. We'll start at the top with the Ohio Head Start Association, advocating for Head Start and early Head Start for families at the state and national level. We do have a lobbyist, and we have hired a lobbyist. So when we're not able to do the heavy lifting due to being a 501c3 and Head Start, our lobbyist, Vicki, assists us lifting our families up. And then adding Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, OPAN, and our parent alumni are out in full force, always using their voice and helping others any way they can. And then when asked to take a trip up to the state capitol, they are always willing and able. And they also do a lot of work at Groundwork Ohio, which is a bipartisan advocacy group solely focused on public policy for young children. And the next circle is DCY. It's a newly formed department at the state called Department of Children and Youth. Julie Stone, our executive director, myself sit on numerous advisory committees to ensure there's equal stakeholders at the table. And then community engagement, always looking for potential partnerships. And then 2, smooth sailing ahead. And I'd like to paint you a picture. While we always have to be aware, even though we have things that have been in place working pretty well, we always have to be aware of what's going on. Because there's never a dull moment when it comes to Ohio. Things can quickly change in a conservative state. Our Senate President Matt Huffman decided that state preschools that receive funding should not have to go through a quality rating system. And there he is, our lovely state Senate President. And his thought behind it, I will get to that. But what I've put up here in these 4 boxes are some of the headlines back in 2022 and 2021. Lame duck changes to preschool regulations undermine systems. That was quoted by Pre for CLE. Senate budget cuts star rating program for child care providers. My favorite, Ohio Senate weakens preschool quality rating system that its own research supports. And I did say that, its own research supports. And Republican lawmakers want to rewrite how Ohio grades child care providers. And when you look at this, the citations that are there, it shows 2022, 21, 22. And what I do want to show that the step up to quality, that is our rating system. So taking a step back, step up to quality, or the SUTQ is what we call it. It's the Ohio's quality rating system. That's the seal of approval for early learning programs. And it makes it easier for parents to identify high quality preschools. Now, the Senate president felt that Ohio didn't need a quality rating system. And Pre for CLE, which was actually quoted in one of in the first headline, which is a nonprofit in Cleveland, Ohio, that helps families find high quality preschools and then enrolls them, stated the amendment from Senate President Matt Huffman undermines Ohio's child care system, and it also ignores the Democratic bipartisan committee that has worked for more than a year to come up with recommendations on how to improve Ohio's step up to quality rating system. And we also look forward to working with the governor and legislation during the state budget process to review these changes on their impact on children, family, and Ohio's workforce. So what happened was an amendment to Ohio's House Bill 45 removed the requirement for some of the early education providers to participate in the state's preschool quality rating system, Step Up to Quality. So when that happened, our current governor, Governor DeWine, he line item vetoed it in the budget 2 years ago. We have a biennium budget every 2 years. And so between the governor and the legislation, there was a compromise, was to simplify the rating system. And so this set the wheels in motion to look at the entire rating system of the child care rating system. And during this time, the governor was in the process of merging several child service agencies, creating the newly founded Department of Children and Youth, which is the DCY. And then there were lots and lots of state visits, lots of visits to the state house, talking to state reps and senators on why the Step Up to Quality rating system was indeed needed. We took lots of parents, groundwork, had a lot of advocacy days that our parents were active in. Why having a rating system, parent choice was important, and every parent and child deserved high quality early childhood education. And at one point while we were up there, myself, Sharis, Garrett, and Alicia, we did in our lobbyists, we actually did get to sit down with Senate President Matt Huffman, and that facial expression was actually the same facial expression that we had when we were sitting there talking to him. But on a positive note, yes, I'm sorry. But on a positive note, it brought the different advocacy groups together in unison. And everyone agreed that quality mattered. And it still matters 3 years later as we're trying to implement the new rating system. And an update on our ECE rating system, our Step Up to Quality. So we had a 5-star rating system. Now we have gone to bronze, silver, gold. And so the 1, 2 stars is now bronze, the 3 stars stars, and the 4 and 5 star is gold. We do still have some exemptions that are in place. Child care that only runs during summer and not more than 15 consecutive weeks has an exemption from the rating system. Child care that only runs during school breaks is exempted from the rating system. And childcare that is run during weekday evenings, weekends, or both are exempted from the rating system. And then the goals and the changes that the Department of Children and Youth are trying to implement right now would improve child outcomes, use a screening tool to assist with children falling behind, and provide community resources and referrals such as food pantries and housing, would reduce administrative burden, which was a big one. Eliminating the following paperwork requirements, wage structure, activity plans, written transition plans. So we're really excited about that. And then would also increase base rates for child care centers. I mean, that's a big one as well. Increasing payment rates between 10 and 20% depending on what county in Ohio. And we have 88 counties in Ohio. We're looking to expect to put an additional $150 million of state money into the child care system and sustaining increased wages. All children have the right to equitable learning opportunities that help them achieve their full potential as engaged learners and valued members of society, quoted by NACI. Oh, and one thing I did want to mention back in the Step Up to Quality is that we're still trying to implement this in 2024. And this started back in 2021. So it's really easy to take something away. It's a lot harder to get something put back in. And now in these next few slides, just want to talk about some of the strategies in Ohio that have worked for us. And this one is keep talking, constantly make your voice heard. And with this, keep talking to your representatives and senators. Constantly make your voice heard, talk to the decision makers, keep reaching out. The staff aides, make them your friends. They are definitely the gatekeepers. Invite them out to your centers. Never pass an opportunity to share your story. Your lived experiences are the best way to make your point across. And Holly Unger will be able to share her story.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you guys today. Who knew I would be sitting here and having a conversation with you all today? My journey started back in 2018, 2019, when I became an Ohio Parent Ambassador. Because of this program, I got the opportunity to meet many people and learn so much, and the importance of my story and my voice. In January of 2019, I got the chance to visit Washington, D.C. Here I had the opportunity to meet with representatives from our state and had the chance to tell my story and use my voice. I thought my journey would be done after the program ended. How I was so wrong. It was just the start because I found my voice and got involved. I learned that I was more than a mother, a wife, a coach, and a teacher. It started because of OSI. It started because I became a member of the I can't talk today. Ohio Head Start Association board member. Then I got voted in on our Region 5 board, and now I sit on the National Head Start board as a parent rep, along with being involved in many other parent rep activities and fellowships. My biggest accomplishment was on March 14th, 2023. As a parent from Licking County, Ohio, I got to give testimony in the House of Representatives to the Finance Subcommittee on Health and Human Services for House Bill 33. I got to give testimony on public funding childcare programs, along with removing sales tax on baby care items. Here again, I got to use my voice and talk to policymakers and tell my story, my family story. House Bill 33 was signed into law by Governor Mike DeWine on July 5th, 2023. I could not be prouder of the parents who have stepped up and used the voice. It's not easy to speak up. We never know who we might be standing next to us on the elevator, in line at the store. So know your story and never pass the opportunity to share your story to others.
Thank you, Holly. Next one is leadership development. Let parents lead. Dr. Sonia Ware. Encourage parents to lead the partnerships. Leadership development. Parents can lead events and partnerships. Create space for parents to lead small focus groups meetings, virtual meetings, webinars. These are co-lead great opportunities and builds character. And unfortunately, Dr. Sonia Ware is not able to be with us, so I will be presenting on her behalf. She is the co-president of the Ohio Kinship Grandparent Coalition. She organized, along with the other co-president, a Kinship Advocacy Day on the Hill last year. Governor DeWine proclaimed September 2023 was Grandparent Kinship Month. They had over 100 kinship parents, children, and supporters that convened the atrium of the state capitol building. They heard remarks from several representatives and Senator Craig, and raised over $15,000 from the event. The event was hosted by the Ohio Federal for Health, Equity, and Social Justice, along with the Ohio Grandparent Kinship Coalition. And the purpose of the event was for kinship families to know that they have a voice and that their voice should be heard. Heard remarks were from State Senator Jars, State Representative Brewer, State Representative Humphrey, and State Senator Craig. Those representatives and senator were chosen because most of them shared their own personal kinship stories and highlighted the data on how kinship caregivers were being left with the burden of providing for their grandchildren and other relatives without the necessary resources and or full financial support that foster parents receive. And to end the program, they inspired and educated by the lived experiences of 5 kinship caregivers, including Dr. Sonia Ware herself. And then they also shared the positive impact of various kinship support groups in providing safe space to be open and honest on their struggles. And the last one is thinking outside of the box and creating partnerships. As not all partnerships are educational, parents need assistance outside the realm of education. This may include health and birth records, license documents for immigrants, record expungement, housing. Be diverse in partnerships. If your circle is saturated in one field, be an expert in another one. Pull your resources together. And Sharice Davis will talk about her experience.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share a little bit of what I do outside of the education realm. I know a lot of us here, because of Head Start or Help Me Grow or whatever the education department you're working for or with. But as she said, this is about a partnership that's not educational or that is around education. And this is more of a legal standpoint. I am on the board with what they call SOLS. So it's Southeastern Ohio Legal Services. And what we do is we give free legal help to people with low incomes and limited savings. We help with issues related to health benefits, housing, school, employment, utilities, family law problems, consumer problems, public benefits like SNAP and Medicaid issues, and other non-criminal legal matters. SOLS also assists partners, organizations, and groups of low income people in finding solutions to community problems. SOLS is a nonprofit organization that provides civil legal services through 6 regional offices here in Ohio, which serves 30 counties. In addition to helping low-income Ohioans with legal matters, the staff is also there to serve leadership roles for community groups, boards, and task services working at the state and local level to improve the lives of low-income residents. We work hard to keep the justice system fair. So some ways that we help, Souls provides a variety of services to help people with legal issues. Um, they have a resource center, which is basically an online toolbox that provides do-it-yourself guides, letter templates, and other sources to help people address legal issues. This includes information about how to prepare for court, what to do when dealing with government agencies, and easy to complete forms. Then that may be Medicaid forms, getting your license, getting your record expunged, things of that nature. All of those forms are online in their online toolbox. They do brief clinics where you can come in, where attorneys will be available to answer questions about different legal matters. They have right place referrals, which is contact information for partner agencies with specialized services. And they also do direct services where you can go right to them for representation in a legal matter. Some of the resources that they also, again, I'm going to just give a little bit of a brief example of some of the resources as they have, which is housing. And if you're having issues with your housing, so say your landlord is wanting to kick you out because you have a dog and you're not allowed to have animals in your home. So they will help you to say whether or not your landlord can evict you with, out of your home for those reasons. They can assist you with getting the proper paperwork if your animal is a service animal. And they can make it to where you will still be able to have a home, a roof over your head in the times where your landlord is not doing their complete job. They can help with security deposits. How to what is a security deposit? Can my landlord keep my security deposit? When is holding your security deposit not allowed? Other things, what should I do if my house is being foreclosed on? How to open and respond to letters from the servers, the people that give you the paperwork for your foreclosure, or just how to stay in your home, how to respond when you receive those documentations from a server telling you that you need to have your home under foreclosure. They help with health resources, Medicaid, helping you apply for Medicaid, going through the Ohio Department of Medicaid, how to apply for health insurance just on ohiocare.gov, finding a local health center to go to for low income or folks that have low savings. Public benefits, they can help you receive SNAP benefits, medical cards. You have a right to state hearings if you've been denied, and they will help you assist you if you qualify, help assist you with getting those resources that you may need to provide for your family. So let's go on to family law, things that they can help as far as, family law. Oh, I'm sorry, I've already done that. I meant taxes. I apologize. Taxes. So say you are getting your taxes. They can walk you through how to make sure you get your child care taxes. Make sure you're not getting your wages garnished. And if you are, is it legal? How much can they take out of it at a time so you can still live sustainably? If your tax wages have been stolen, if somebody used yours or your child's social security number to put so they could file, all of these things is what the legal aid service does. And again, we were talking about how to go outside of the box to be able to still move forward with your family, because that was our base, is the family in the center of that. This is another way, because when you have those legal problems, just education is not the issue in a family if you're having legal problems as well. So that's one of the things that Ohio does, is we have to have our parents and others to think outside of the box to keep pushing their family forward with even things like this. And that's how families here in Ohio are able to overcome some of the issues and the hurdles that they do within the family, with the legal system, with the education, with healthcare, with housing. And this is just part of, again, what Ohio does. Thank you.
Thank you, Shars. And then parent voice. Always keep moving and shaking. Other ways OPAN parents are using their voice in Ohio. As mentioned by Dejan, the justice, equity, and belonging training, the alumni, we just started this training track. So the alumni has voted to continue this as a training track, assisting us with a louder voice and understanding. And I'm working with the training, with the trainers to train more on restorative practices. And the alumni, there's a couple parents we've created it's called the Next Step Forward project. So there's parents working with parents who have children transitioning to kindergarten from Head Start with IEPs, 504 plans, etc. And they're working on contact resource lists for parents based on school districts. And then we also have a monthly alumni call, which is via Zoom. And then during this 1 hour call, we discuss state, federal, and local updates. We discuss any parent involvement and updates from each parent. We talk about any training opportunities, events that are going on. We talk about brainstorming ideas, hot topics, any campaigns that we would like to work on. This year, as we did last year, we're doing an in-person in June. And then at the end, we'll do a family gathering. This will be the only, we'll bring the families together. We'll get to hang out with the spouses and the partners and the kids. And this is where we'll set kind of our goal for the year and look at what we're going to really focus on for the year. And so thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing everyone at the gathering in May.
We are going to turn it over to the question and answer part of our session. There is one question in the chat if you want me to read it, Amanda. I believe it was Teresa who wrote the question. She said, where is the best place to find information about this work so we can share it with our partners in this space locally?
As in, like, say more.
Hi, this is Teresa. I'm at Partnership for Community Action in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We work with home-based providers. There's a lot of work going on in the early childhood space in New Mexico, including the redesign of our quality rating system. And so I'm interested in what organization or space, maybe virtually online, where I can share what's going on in Ohio with some of our coalition partners.
Oh, yeah.
As a way to just have another reference point for quality rating system updates.
Oh, yeah, I can send you. You could go to the governor's, you can go to the state of Ohio, you could go to the DCY. Do I have your email? I can send you just links and links and links of information. I've got it. Let's see here. Can you send me your email?
Yes.
What happened was there was just a discussion around some people up in, some senators up in this rural area that kind of thought that they just didn't need equality and that kids should just stay at home and just that's where they should be, and then they should just go off to school, and that's how it should be. And so everyone just kind of banded together, and mouths dropped, and people went running up to the Capitol, and everyone just came like running up there and said, like, what is going on? Like, who said that? And that can't happen. And it's been a fight for 4 years, and a lot of compromise, and a lot of lived experience, and a lot of parents up there, and a lot of families that work, 2-income households, and just constantly up there telling our stories. So but just like that, it was gone. Like I said, it's so easy to take away, but it's so hard to put back in. So hard to put back in.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. In New Mexico, what's happening is there was an entire redesign process. I'll be very brief, so I'm going to leave out a lot of detail, but we're in a place right now where it's exciting to get redesigned, and then also really worrisome that there's the potential with just a little bit of underlining language that credentialing will require formal education, which could severely impact providers who have been in this space without any formal college level education. It puts a huge risk at the field for those people who have been mostly brown and Black women who have been working in this space.
Right.
Without access to college, right? And so we think the credentialing of the formal education will be tied to the quality rating system. It's not an overnight thing. We think that it'll be also a multi-year process, but just want to highlight that it's a little bit of a red flag that we're trying to pay attention to actively.
Right. Yeah, I can send you stuff on the quality, the 5-star, and then what they're going to with the bronze, silver, gold. And I think they're also looking at how Head Start can just automatically be put into a gold star or something because of all of the federal regulations and requirements that Head Start centers already have to have versus what state licensing requires and what federal licensing requires are two different things. Anything else?
Yes, Julie had a question. So is your quality rating system back in place? Short answer.
So it was back. So they kept the 5-star rating system in place until the new system with those exemptions. So it's hanging on by a thread with the exemptions of those that I had told you about. And then they have the new system, which I was in Columbus yesterday, and we had a meeting with the director of the Department of Children and Youth. And so this new rating system goes into place the end of April of this year. So so that our governor has 2 years and then he is done. He's out. So his legacy is this whole revamping. So they really have 2 more years to get everything. His legacy is this revamping of the system, the department, all of this stuff. And so 2 years is not a lot of time to get everything up and going and to see outcomes and just to see all of this great stuff. And then the question was brought up yesterday is once we get a new governor, what happens to this new system and to this, how everything just got built up? Does this new governor strip it away and redesign something? And so that's also in the back of our minds of what happens in 2 years. And that could very well be something that happens. In Ohio. So we're really trying to right now play the early childhood education piece along with workforce, because workforce is a priority in Ohio. And so right now we're trying to get meetings with the State Chamber of Commerce, which actually the person who is over the State Chamber of Commerce is a he left. He's a retired congressman. So he was Representative Steve Stivers from Ohio, and he was a Head Start champion when he was on the Hill in DC. So we're very lucky that he is at the state now over at the Chamber of Commerce. So we're trying to get a meeting with him to try to tie this early childhood education piece to workforce, so we can get some backing behind them, so we could get some funding, because what they see at the state house or, legislation in Ohio is workforce. Being in a conservative state, it's always tied to workforce or how that looks. So we're trying to spin it differently.
Amanda and OPAN team, we pulled a question out of the chat.
Okay.
Or sorry, out of the Q&A system from Veronica and put it in the chat for you.
I can read it, Amanda. It says, disability waiver system. It's unfortunate that people with special needs have to wait. Oh, somebody just else chatted, so hold on, let me get it back. Pretty much they're saying wait on a list for more than 12 years. They're doing something in the Capitol to change it. I don't know if this is an issue in New Mexico or all over the country.
I don't know if that's an issue in Ohio. As Holly, would you speak? I mean,
when I testified on House Bill 33, there was a parent that testified alongside me on House Bill 33 that did bring up and talk about some of these issues and being on wait lists for multiple years. I'm not sure this amount of time, but I do know it was 1 to 2 years that they were on a waiting list for their special needs child in early education. So I know it was addressed then, but I haven't heard of an extensive wait time. Charles, do you know I know you were going through something similar as well.
Yeah, but I think mine within the school system is a little different than this. We're waiting to be tested for IEPs or get approved for 504s, not necessarily on the federal level, like this comment was for. So I really don't have anything that I could add to that either.
I know it's being built into their new system, into their new department, but I have a note to look into it.
Sarah has a question.
Charles, thank you. Something you just said just raised a flag for me. When you say that in your area they're waiting for 504s and IEPs, I understand the IEP process, yes. But once a child is diagnosed, and there should be no wait for 504, at least not in New York State. The minute they get the certain diagnoses is just automatically they have to get a 504. It's nothing like, oh, we have to evaluate you. If a doctor says you have it, the district has to issue a 504 and there is no waiting process other than probably just having them type up the recommendations after sitting with the parent. So I kind of just I'm trying to understand why parents are waiting for 504s. IEPs, I understand, totally different process because you got to go through this whole evaluation piece first before we even get there. And then the actual writing up of the IEP after the CSC meeting. So that I get. But 504, I don't. So is this just within Ohio State? Because
No.
we don't do it like that in our district.
What they were experiencing, and this was just from parents from
Oh.
Head Start to kindergarten, was what they were experiencing was they were transitioning. They knew that they were, they were waiting for that meeting. So they were going into kindergarten. They had this, they had that. Well, they weren't getting a meeting until October. So they didn't know who their contacts were. So they wouldn't get this meeting until October. Well, by that time they start in August. So there was August, September. There was 2 to 2.5 months before there was even a touch point. And so they were wanting to have this resource, or before they had this guide or something, knowing that when you were transitioning and you knew you were getting an IEP, or you had the names of who your specialist was going to be. So there's a disconnect
Absolutely.
when your child is transitioning, and that's what we're trying to our parents are just trying to get these connections of who their specialist is going to be, and not waiting those 8 to 12 weeks.
Right. I get it. And I apologize because I'm forgetting that this is basic. This is our ECE committee is more just that children 5 and under. And I'm thinking more on a all around educational level.
Yeah.
So, but they should never not know who their contact person is, at least to that, because even if you don't have anything in writing, there is conversations that can be going on once the parent knows who their contact person is. So I would have an issue with that. So I'm so glad to hear that you guys are fighting for that.
And so unfortunately, sometimes you just don't get that information. You know that the child has a plan, but you don't get that first contact until 8 weeks later.
Which is now pushing the child back further, delaying his or her right.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good at all. And it's frustrating for the parent.
Absolutely.
Especially when you've had so much interaction.
Right.
All the way up, and you get to kindergarten and it's crickets, and it's very frustrating.
Right. And here I am in my area pushing that pre-K be put under, taken away from DSS and put under the regular DOE, because most of our pre-Ks are in our school districts, and a lot of things can be caught quicker when you're on in a classroom setting than as out of it. But I guess it all depends on the situation. So yeah, I don't know, but that's just frustrating to hear.
Right.
Sorry to take up so much time, but that just irked me.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to make the comment, Sarah, yes, and when I spoke that, I guess that's also when on the waiting for the 504s to go back kind of a little bit on that I think that could just be my district, to be honest. I can't say that that's all of Ohio, but what I will say on your last statement is I know as far as Ohio is concerned, I should say with the Head Start part of it, I think we really catch a lot of the issues that we have as far as our IEPs and our 504s within our children early. And I feel where we're losing it in Ohio is when they get into this school. And that's something that needs to be fixed also. So where you're trying to move it to DOE, I would almost for Ohio like it to stay the way it is, because those children that are already being tested and getting those services, had it not been for them getting it early, like they are now with our Ohio, or our Head Starts, and even Help Me Grow and think, other organizations like that, when they get into the school system, it's going to take a little longer for
No,
them
I
to
agree
get
with you with regarding Head Start, but not everyone is like not everyone is accepted into Head Start based on already income levels and all of that. So
yes,
for
so
those
true.
children, that is why I stay, because yes, if it's Head Start, then it's amazing. But if it's not Head Start, then you're in the middle, and children do not know, or their parents are leaving them in daycare settings where we don't have the professionals on task that understand or know what to notice to see if a child has delays or are not meeting certain milestones. So that's why I say I wish we could have it in under DOE for those parents who don't have the luxury of having the Head Start.
Yes,
We're still failing our children in that way.
Yes, I agree. I understand that. Yes. Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I have to jump off because I have a 1 o'clock call, but this has been great. I always love being on ECE. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and look forward to seeing everyone, I hope, in May.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good day, hon.
You too.
Hi, Sarah.
Does anybody else have any questions for?
Yes, we have one for you all in the chat from Felipa. Felipa, if I don't get your question right, please feel free to jump in. It looks like Felipa is asking if in your advocacy work, you include the new immigrant families with children that are arriving in the shelter systems in our country. Yeah, and in your state.
So for Head Start, that would include, we have migrant families that come, yes. So we have up in our, like by Lake Erie and down by the Dayton area, it would include, they travel. So it's seasonal and migrant families. They travel from Ohio down to Florida, back and forth.
Do you all work with immigrant families in your work?
I believe Great Lakes does, yes, and Council on Rural Services, because I think that's who has the migrant and seasonal grant. Yes. And they work with, and I think Great Lakes works with, I don't know offhand, they do like is it the H2H or the H something, I forget what it's called, but they do. And I don't know the specifics. I don't know the specifics offhand.
I see that Felipa went off camera, so maybe if you want to add anything, Felipa, maybe we'll keep going, but please let us know if we can clarify the answer at all to your question. Another question. Were parents able to provide feedback to developing the new quality rating system? How deeply were they engaged in the levels of quality?
Yes, they were. I believe that they were focus groups when they were deciding on the quality rating system. There were the parent ambassadors, the parent ambassadors and the focus groups, and they had called parents in to do and talk about and our testimonies also, when all the parents came in, and Groundworks did a lot of stuff. Holly, I know Sharis and Holly, and I think Alicia, there's a lot of them that Groundworks has their own kind of parent group their advocacy with the rating system and stuff. So there was multiple feedback sessions.
I know they held a bunch in Columbus at local libraries and invited parents in to communicate.
Parent
about
cafes. I believe
Yeah, parent cafes.
they held parent cafes. I mean, if not, we'd be right back to where we started.
I have a question. And I have, before everyone leaves, we also wanted to mention that there is a very, very short survey that we wanted to ask everyone to fill out. And I'll put the link in the chat right now. My question is, oh, thank you, Jacqueline. My question is about, I don't know if you mentioned in this webinar, but you shared with UPLAN while we were preparing for this webinar that the state of Ohio has created a new position for parents to be more involved in state government, and they called it parent ambassadors, which of course complicated your job a little bit because you are the parent ambassadors of parent ambassadors.
Right. Right.
So you changed your name to an awesome name. We love that name.
Thank you.
But could you speak to like, how did you interpret that? Because it doesn't seem like an accident, right? That they would recognize that parent ambassadors are powerful. And then they created this position. So what do you all make of this change? And do you feel like it speaks to the progress that you all have been able to make?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it was flattering, but I was frustrated because I was like, okay, well, it was confusing because I was, people were, someone sent it to, I think, I feel like we were together. I feel like I was with my parents somewhere and everyone's like, did you see that? What is this? What are you guys hiring? And I was like, what is going on? And I looked and I was like, and it first started during the preschool development grant when they put in their grant specifically parent ambassadors. And that's kind of like, was like, okay. And then they created these, and their parent ambassadors slash, Holly, what are they called? Parent ambassadors slash
Human resource
specialists. What?
Yes.
Human resource specialists. So it was time to change our name because there's just too much confusion to be parent ambassadors. And it's, now I don't know what to call us because we're still parent ambassadors. I don't know.
And just, I'll step in, Amanda. I did interview for the position. I've gone through 2 rounds of interviews. And it is more a go-between between the state and the parents. It's to be that guide and that help and resource between the states and the state and the parents to help break down that communication more coming from a parent side of things.
So we changed our name, but we still need to figure out what to call the parents.
And it's broke up by counties. So you would be, so if I were to get the job, I would have 6 counties under me that I would be responsible for.
Seems like you all must be doing a great job. If the state, which has been somewhat of a frenemy, you all are making progress, but they push back a lot. But the state wanted to steal your swag and steal your name. So
Right. I should have trademarked it.
you're doing great. Sounds like
I could have sold it to him.
There, I think Maria Luz had a question. I don't think it was answered yet, or unless I'm in the Q&A, which I copied.
Does the quality rating system apply to the ECE or just Head Start?
No, it's a state rating system. It's a state rating system. It's everybody in the state.
Mhm.
Me gustaría saber cómo es su lista de espera ahí en Ohio y qué se podría hacer para que las listas no fueran tan largas.
There is a waiting list, and we talked about that yesterday, and it's staffing. And it's just, it's a crisis. I mean, we talked about it at a childcare standpoint, and we talked about it at a Head Start standpoint. And, you know, we are in a childcare crisis. They're non-livable wages, and no one wants to work in a, it's not even being promoted. So like when we're looking at higher education, we have a lot, and we were talking about it yesterday, with a lot of higher education that's not even, they don't even have it as a program anymore because people are not graduating from early childhood education. So they don't offer it. We have a few community colleges that offer it, but no one wants to go into early childhood education. So it's a staffing shortage. So there's wait lists. That's why we're trying to create it as a workforce issue in Ohio, because it is a workforce issue. If you don't have childcare, you don't have someone to watch your kid, you can't go to work. So if it's a workforce crisis, if you can't pay a childcare employee what they should be earning and make it a profession. I think a lot of people think of childcare as not a profession, and it is a profession. And so we need to lift that up, and we need to make that a profession and make it be seen as what it is. And it's hard work, and we're they're with our kids and at an impressionable age where all those neurons are all connecting, and that's when they're going to be learning. And yes, we should have people in there that lifting up our kids, and they should be paid a lot, and they should be seen as professionals.
Sí, gracias. Bastante profundo la respuesta.
Anybody else?
Yes, Miss Lori said in the state or in the chat, any state using federal child care subsidies must have a state rating system as well as Head Start. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Miss Lori. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Miss Rachel.
Yeah, so seeing none, we wanted to thank Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, OPAN, for your great webinar. Thank you so much. That was great information. It seems like you got a lot of love in the chat and comments. And thank you to everybody for coming. This is part of the ECE Committee's webinar series. Please make sure you fill out that survey before you go. That will help us a lot to plan and continue this kind of webinar from UPLAN members. And yeah, we wanted to just thank everybody again for coming, and let you know that if you are part of the ECE committee, we have our next meeting next month in April, on April 19th. And I hope many of you are joining us in Washington, D.C., where we'll be getting ready for that, our national gathering in May.